auspicious occasion. I want to thank the organizing committee who organized this event. I want to thank them very much for organizing Ramayana in the Park on all the sessions they will have. I want to thank members of the Arya Spiritual Center who performed tonight, who organized tonight, who take part in tonight's performance. We want to thank them very much. And friends, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat tonight. We have our son tonight who will be giving you the pravachan for tonight. We want to thank him for stepping up to the plate. And this is the future of the community, the future of Arya Spiritual Center. We are here for the community, and we want to thank every one of you for coming. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Bhai Sagar.
Jai Shri Ram.
That's the second time?
Jai Shri
I
Ram.
think you're getting better at it. Yeah, normally when you say it, how to say it twice before you get a response, you know? So things are improving. Okay. Well, we want to welcome all of you here this evening for the third session of Ramayana in the Park 2024. This is a much anticipated event. We all look forward with great enthusiasm and great excitement and expectations year after year for this month of August, where you can leave the comfort of your homes and you can assemble here night after night and listen to the various presentations from some of the scholars of Sanatan Dharma from our local community. And I'm pretty sure tonight, as Bhai Naro said, you're in for a real treat. And I am as anxious as you all are to listen to the young Vyaas and to listen to his perspective that he presents to us from the Aranyakand of Sri Ramcharita. I was looking at his last name. I never listened to the young man before, and I tried to make a connection, this Ramsamooj connection. And I asked Pandit Raveji just now, I said, he has to be related to you. And he said, that's my nephew. And I said, I thought so. And which means he comes from good stock. And you can only imagine how well prepared and talented he is. So we'd like to bring you greetings on behalf of the Ramayan in the Park Committee. And I'm not going to take much more time now because normally I speak at the end of the pravachan with my little remarks before we conclude. But for now, we welcome to another wonderful, spectacular evening of Ramayan in the Park. And I'm getting some good vibes. I think we're in for a real treat tonight, and all of us are going to leave here feeling so exhilarated and feel so good after listening to a young lion who's going to roar for us in a few moments from now. So with that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy Ramayan in the Park. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you, Dharmacharya Pandit Chunilal. And now I got the greatest honor.
Singing is old-time Trinidadian favorite, Mano Mano, Asura Mure Sikh, Siyake Leke Ram Ko Milo. And this song is just explaining about a little bit of backstory of when Mata Sita was kidnapped, taken by Ravan. जो सुख में सुमिरन करे तो दुख काहे करो राम नाम सोहि जानिए तज बल बुद्धि निधान काश सरे सुरसा चले भरती चले हनुमान मानो मानो असुरा मोरे सीख सिया खेले के राम को मिलो मानो मानो असुरा मोरे सीख सिया खेले के राम को मिलो मानो मानो असुरा मोरे सीख मानो मानो असुरा मोरे सीख मानो मानो ये क्या कुमति कमाए, जिनकी जान की तो हर लाया वो तपसी दो भाई। अरे लंका श्री के कोट हमारा रत्नागिर से खाई, 80 लाख की चौकी थारे भाग जाए दो भाई। मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो ना। मानो 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 असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो। मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके। हनुमान ऐसे पायक जिनके, और संग लक्ष्मण के भाई, जलती अग्नि में कूद पड़ेगा को तिन गिन गिन खाई। अरे मेघनाद ऐसा पुत्र हमारा, और कुंभकर्ण ऐसा भाई, धर मंगवाऊंगी मंदिर से वो तपसी दो भाई। मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो। मानो 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 असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो। मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके। अरे बंदर एक लंका में आए, घर घर धूम जो छाए, भाग भी वंश लंका को जारा, जा सागर तीर पूछ बुझाए। अब तो क्या डरे मंदोदरी रानी, पीहर तू पहचान, मैं लड़ने से हार नाही, तू न हक घबरान। और क्या मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम। मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो। घात घात लक्ष्मण ने रोके, आखत रोके राम, दरवाजे अंगद ने रोके, बीच रहे हनुमान। राम जीत घर लंका आए, घर घर बजत बधाई, हनुमान की चौकी थारे तुलसीदास गुन गाई। मानो 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 असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो। मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके राम को मिलो। मानो मानो असुर मुरसी, कसिया के लेके।
You see that you're in for a wonderful treat from the Arias Spiritual Center youth group there by Rajan Ramayan. Without further ado, I will ask our Dr. Ravidi.
I am surprised. Oh, thank you. Give a round of applause to me. You know, when they asked me this year to do Ramayana in the park, I know some of the Pandits, especially Charyaji, Ramacharyaji, was disappointed when I said, I would like to give over to the young Pandits of our Samaj. Because when we start go backwards, you know, we're getting younger. As we get younger, we forget. Our voices start to change. Our fingers don't hit the correct notes sometimes. So we need to train our young Pandits while we are still alive, so we can guide them. I would like to say that all the music you're going to hear tonight, I had no part in that. It means that they are competent, and they have composed in ragas. Tonight you'll hear they did it themselves. Rajan was in his mom's womb when he came to music school, and since then he's still there. So you can imagine the amount of wealth of knowledge he has gathered over all these years. So once again, I feel very pleasure to be here. And I remember when I did the first Ramayana in the park, Pandit Ramlal sits right across, he sat right across there. And he blessed me. And I said, you know what? I am going to do the same for the next generation. I'm going to sit there and look at him and guide him. Namaste, all the best.
Without further ado, I turn this mic over to Devendra, who will introduce our Vyaas. Pandit Niraj Ramsamooj, you're in for a treat. It's a lot of surprise, so he will give you the little bio about Pandit Niraj.
प्रेम से बोलो मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम श्री रामचंद्र की जय। माताजी और पिताजी, mothers and fathers, धर्माचार्य जी, पंडिता जी और पंडित जी, revered धर्माचार्य जी, पंडित सुनीलाल नारायण जी, पंडितस and पंडित्स, धर्म के प्रेमी बहनों, भाइयों और प्यारी बच्चों, loving sisters, brothers and children of Vedic Satya Sanatan Dharma, Supreme Namaste or Sitaram. My name, as you've heard, is Devendra Bidraj, and I, along with many others from the Arya Spiritual Center, are quite thrilled to be here this evening with all of you to participate in this prestigious event. As I look before me, I see an array of colors, but most importantly, I see the faces of descendants of a people who, despite their struggles and sacrifices, persevered and passed down a rich culture and dharma filled with beautiful and wholesome traditions of which we are the beneficiaries. In moments of joy, they rejoiced with the teachings of the Ramayana, and in sorrow too, they found comfort in these very teachings. The devotion they carried overflowed into their daily living, and it carried them through the toughest of times. Many moons and many generations later, these teachings continue to inspire us. Tonight, I have the honor of introducing our Pravakta, Pandit Niraj Ramsamooj, whose Aja educated himself, read the Ramayana, and became one of the first acharyas of the beautiful twin island of Trinidad and Tobago. Following in line with our Vedic values, Pandit Niraj's parents, Srimati Vashti Ramlakanji, who is here tonight, and the late Sriman Mitra Ramsamooj, made it their duty to perform every sanskar, prenatal and thereafter. His parents had a clear vision of who they wanted their firstborn child to be, and made every effort to instill a dharmic upbringing. His love for the Ramayana began with his Aji, whose blessings are here with him tonight, even though she is no longer physically here. She enjoyed watching Ramayan Sagar's Ramayana series with Pandit Niraj and his younger brother Devaj. The shining armors and fierce battles captured their imaginations. And to their Aji, Pandit Niraj was Ram, and his younger brother was Lakshman. When the love for the Ramayana grew, his Nana and Nani made the bows and the arrows to go along with it. Eventually, the amazement of the grandeur of this katha matured into deep love and passion for our dharmic teachings of our Maryada Purushottam Sri Ramachandraji. At the tender age of 4, Pandit Niraj began vocal and harmonium classes, as well as Hindi and moral education classes at the East Indian Music Academy under the tutelage of his chacha, the esteemed Pandit Dr. Ravidin Ramsamooj, and his chachi, the equally esteemed Pandita Bharati Ramsamooj. Around the age of 6, Pandit Niraj began attending the Arya Spiritual Center, where he grew up with a family that saw him transition from childhood to adulthood. He has and continues to serve the Arya Spiritual Center and by extension the Arya Samaj in various capacities. Currently, he serves on the executive committee of the Arya Spiritual Center and in the recently concluded Global Arya Summit under the patronage of the Arya Pratinindhi Sabha America. He served as an organizer under several committees. In one of our conversations, he expressed how extremely honored he feels to be a part of this event and our upcoming Veda in the Park event, where he will, for the second time, deliver his first provision on another major platform. In his dharmic pursuits, his interests lie in Vedic governance as it pertains to law, morals, ethics, and social constructs prescribed by the Vedas and supported by other Shastras. He is passionate about protecting our traditions and philosophies and is seeking to find sustainable solutions to many of the challenges faced by our Sanatana Dharma. Currently, in his academic pursuits, he is working on a second degree in clinical laboratory science and is aiming to utilize his degree for the benefit of society. This isn't just a proud moment for the Ramsamooj family, but for all of us at the Arya Spiritual Center. There is none, however, who is prouder or a bigger supporter than his mother, whose presence alone here tonight is a blessing to our young Pandit. During our conversation yesterday, she expressed how grateful she is for everyone who has helped him to be ready for this stage and wishes for him to always be supported and guided. Pandit Niraj, no matter how great you may become, and greatness is awaiting you, your mother's prayers before you were born and her prayers today will always be with you. Tonight, in a defining moment for you, she wants you to know these words. You have been an inspiration for me, and I hope you will continue to be an inspiration for everyone. My blessings to you for tonight and for always. Mata putra se pyar kiya hai jitna, kaun karega itna. We pray, Pandit Niraj, that may Bhagwan continue to protect and inspire you and direct your intellect toward a dharmically inclined path. Our Vyaas ji will be supported by our Mandali on stage, beginning with Purohit Vinay Ramsamooj ji on sitar, by Deepak Shankar Singh ji on tabla, by Rajan Ramayan ji on chorus and harmonium, by Jeeval Bandan ji on percussion and chorus, by Kavish Bandan ji tabla, Bahen Priti Narayan ji chorus, Bahen Ariela ji chorus, by Videsh Ramsamooj ji chorus, Purohit Darshani Singh ji chorus, and yours truly, Yajak Devendra Bidraj ji on chorus. Now let us please put our hands together for our Vyaas ji Maharaj and our Mandali on stage. Namaste.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Let us all close our eyes and sit in a comfortable position as we prepare to receive some of the knowledge given to us by Goswami Tulsidas in the Ramcharitmanas. We will begin by reciting Om 3 times and followed by a mantra from the Yajurveda. अथ यजुर्वेदः ॐ आब्रह्मन् ब्राह्मणो ब्रह्मवर्चसि जायतामाराष्ट्रे राजन्यः शूर इष्व्योति व्याधि महारथो जायताम् दोग्ध्रि धेनुर्वोढा नत्वा नाशुः सप्तिः पुरन्धिर्योषा जिष्णुरथेष्ठाः सभेयो युवास्य यजमानस्य वीरो जायताम् निकामे निकामे न पर्जन्यो वर्षतु फलवत्यः न ओषधयः पच्यन्ताम् Yogakshemo na kalpatam. O Supreme Brahma, let there be born in this country Brahmanas full of spiritual splendor, Rajanya, skilled in military expertise, heroic in spirit, masters of the science of military weapons, and mighty warriors who can totally destroy their enemies. Let there be born cows giving abundant milk, oxen that carry heavy loads, and horses of high speed. Women skilled in various industries, and may our sons be expert in social works while they attain their youth. May they be heroic, all-conquering, and possessors of war chariots. May the clouds rain on the required occasions. May the fruit-bearing trees produce ripe fruits in abundance. And may the power of acquisition and preservation of property remain with us. Dharmacharya, Pandit Chunilalji, other respected Pandits present tonight, members of the committee for Ramayan in the Park, my dear mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and friends, Namaste and Sitaram. Those in the Vedic world may be familiar with me, but to my brothers and sisters of our wider Sanatan Dharma philosophies, I greet you all most humbly, and I hope my message tonight gives you a satisfying impression of who I am. Tonight, I will be examining the Aranyakand from an adibhautik perspective. Now, what do I mean by that? Panditji gave a wonderful katha last night on Ayodhya-kand. And in the Ramcharitmanas, there are a lot of these explanations for why things happened. We say that mantra told Kekai, convinced Kekai to ask for the boon to banish Sri Ram and make Bharat the king. And we say that Saraswati Mata came and influenced her mind to say these things. And we say that Sri Ram had to go to Banvas because of what Maharaj Dasharath did to Shravan Kumar, killing him. And so he had to also suffer that same pain. These are what are called adhyatmic explanations. So these are the devtas and the higher forces at work being explained. But for us, when someone is gossiping at you, how do you know if Ma Saraswati is coming in their mind and telling them about something? Or how do you know the karma that you did in the past is coming now and the reward or the consequences coming now for you? We don't. All we know is the consequences of our actions, and we need to think about how to make decisions. This is why Sri Ram was so great. Not only because he was divine, but because of the actions that he did. And he explains very well dharma and duty. So this is the perspective that I'll be explaining the Aranyakand from tonight. But before I begin, I humbly bow, especially to the Pandits of our spiritual center, who I consider as my gurus, and have been like fathers to me, especially after my father passed away 3 years ago. And for those who don't know, at our spiritual center, we have the 4 Vedas in human form. We have the knowledge of the Rig Veda in Pandit Bharat Singh Ji and Pandit Bharat Bisesar, the 2 Bharats. We have the principles of the Atharva Veda in Pandit Prakash Prasad, and I always love when he explains the mantra, O Ma Bhrata Bhrataram Dviksham, Ma Swasara Mutaswasa, Samyancha Savrata Bhutva, Vacham Vadata Bhadraya. I always love how he explains that mantra, and he's a very principled man, those of us who know him. We have the light of the Yajur Veda in Pandit Deepak Ramanji, as he constantly is devoted to the Gayatri Mantra and Savita Devi from that same Yajur Veda. And of course, we have the music and devotional sounds of the Sam Veda in Dr. Pandit Ravideen Ramsamooj and Pandita Bharati. I humbly bow to these divine souls, and I would like to thank them for all their wisdom and lessons, especially Pandit Ravideen and Pandita Bharati and Pandit Deepak for assisting in this presentation that you will hear tonight. As you've heard, all the melodies you will hear tonight have been composed by 2 talented young men who I consider as my brothers. by Rajan and by Deepak here tonight, have composed all the new sounds you will hear tonight based on ragas to express the mood and intention of each chaupai. Their compositions are meant to transport you into the forest of Aryavart, so the lessons taught will have the best impact. And also please give a hand to their musical guru, our musical guru as well, Pandit Ramsamooj. Without him, none of this would be possible. And as Bhai Devendra mentioned, Ramayan has been a special interest of mine, mostly because of my Aji, who passed away 2 years ago. She took care of all my physical needs in my infant and toddler years and bestowed upon me her love of Ramayan and its lessons. My pravachan tonight is dedicated to her, the late Sukhdev Ramsamooj. So we begin tonight in the Aranya Kand. And this is the third Kand, or chapter, of the Ramcharitmanas, or Ramayan, which describes the forest life of Sri Ram, Mata Sita, Bhrata Lakshman, and Bhrata Lakshman after they left the city of Ayodhya due to the 14-year Banwas, or exile, bestowed upon Sri Ram by the king Maharaj Dashrath. Aranyakand begins when Sri Ram, Mata Sita, and Lakshman meet Atri Muni and his consort Anasuya, where they enjoy the company and have discourse. However, Sri Ram keeps moving from place to place since he knows if he stays in one place for too long, crowds will gather. Events take place that move Sri Ram and Lakshman into action that we will explore, and that's how they spend their 11 years. Shurpanakha and her role in this Kand will also be described later. And of course, we have the Sita Haran, the kidnapping of Mata Sita, which again I will explain into more detail. But in this Kand, there are many life lessons about the benefits of devotion, bhakti, being devoted to protecting dharma, being devoted to the wise, and being devoted to serving humanity. These are all equal to serving Bhagwan. So tonight, this is what I present to you. Okay, sound check. Sure, sound check. Sa. So my Aja would always say, बिना सुमिरन गाने के लिए ठीक नहीं है. So before I will sing the Sumiran, and this was composed by our Bhai Deepak here. जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, गणनायक करी बर बदना, गणनायक करी बर बदना, करो अनुग्रह सोई, करो अनुग्रह सोई, बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना, बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, मोक होई बा चाल पंगु, चदै गिरि बर गहना, मोक होई बा चाल पंगु, चदै गिरि बर गहना, जासु कृपा सो दयाल द्रवो, जासु कृपा सो दयाल द्रवो, सकल कली मल दहना, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, नील सरोरुह श्याम तरुण, अरुण बारिज नयना, नील सरोरुह श्याम तरुण, अरुण बारिज नयना, करो सुमम उर धाम सदा, करो सुमम उर धाम सदा, क्षीर सागर सयना, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, कुंड इंदु सम देहा, उमारमन करुणा अयना, कुंद इंदु सम देहा, उमारमन करुणा अयना, जाहि दीन पर नेह करो, जाहि दीन पर नेह करो, कृपा मर्दन नयना, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, बंदो गुरुपद कंज, कृपा
कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि बंदो गुरु पर कंजा कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि महामोहतम पुंज चासु महामोहतम पुंज चासु बचन रवि कर निकरा जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि बर बदना करो अनुग्रह सोई करो अनुग्रह सोई बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना जो सुमिरत सिद्धि जो सुमिरत सिद्धि जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई. We move on to our first chopai. And in this chopai, we know that Sri Ram, Mata Sita, and Lakshman were in Chitrakoot. So what happens from there? रघुपति चित्रकूट बसी नाना रघुपति चित्रकूट बसी नाना चरित कीन्ह श्रुति सुधा समाना चरित कीन्ह श्रुति सुधा समाना बहुरी राम अस मन अनुमाना बहुरी राम अस मन अनुमाना होई वीर सबहि मोहि जाना होई वीर सबहि मोहि जाना होई वीर सबहि मोहि जाना जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा श्री राम जय राम जय जय रामा श्री राम जय राम जय जय रामा जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा. Raghupati Chitrakoot Basinana. So Raghuvir, Shri Ram, was residing in Chitrakoot. Charitakeen Shruti Sudha Samana. And he was doing certain acts, Charit, that when heard, Shruti, Sudha Samana. Sudha is nectar, Samana means like. So those actions were like nectar when you hear about them. Bahuri Rama Asamana Anumana. However, Sri Ram thought in his mind, he had a thought, Anumana. Hoi hi bhir sabahi mohi jana. He says there will be a crowd and everyone, sabahi, everyone will densely pack this area. So he decides to leave Chitrakoot for the peace of that place and seeks a new residence. So while traveling, they arrive at the ashram of Atri Muni and his consort Anasuya. So when they reach to Atri Muni, this next chopai describes his happiness upon Sri Ram's arrival. देखि राम छवि नयन जुराने देखि राम छवि नयन जुराने सादर निज आश्रम तब आने सादर निज आश्रम तब आने करी पूजा कही
वचन सुहाए करी पूजा करी वचन सुहाए दिए मूल फल मन भाई दिए मूल फल मन भाई दिए मूल फल मन भाई जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा श्री राम जय जय रामा श्री राम जय जय रामा जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा देखी राम छवि नयन जुड़ाने upon seeing Sri Ram and the image of Sri Ram is Chabi Nayana Jurane, his eyes were soothed. Atri Muni. Sadar Nija Ashram Tab Aane. And he was so glad when they came to his ashram. Kari puja kahi vachana suhaye. And he was doing puja and was saying how pleasant he was to Sri Ram as he escorted him to his hermitage. Diye mool phala mana bhai, and he gave mool and pool, roots and fruits, and those were pleasing to the mind of Sri Ram. Again, I said that my pravachan here tonight is about devotion. So you see all the love and all the devotion that Atri Muni has for Sri Ram, and he continues. Namami bhakta vatsalam Namami bhakta vatsalam Kripalu shila komalam Kripalu shila komalam Bhajami te padambujam Bhajami te padambujam Akaminam svadamadham Akaminam svadamadham Akaminam svadamadham Atri Muni says, I revere you, you who are so fond of your devotees, so compassionate and of gentle disposition. He says, Kripalu Shila Komalam. He says compassionate, and this is his shield, his character. Bhajami te padam bhujam. And he says, I adore your lotus feet, which are an abode of safety. And akaminam svadamaham, for those who love you selflessly. So we see here, again, the devotion and this vocal devotion that Atri Muni has for Sri Ram. And Mata Anasuya also gave remarkable discourse on dharmic womanhood to Mata Sita, which we will not go into tonight, but again, exchanging discourse. This is what they did in Vyaas, in the forest. And now we see how Sri Ram reciprocates that bhakti, that devotion. Muni pada kamal nai kar shisha Muni pada kamal nai kar shisha Chale vanhi sur nar muni isha Chale vanhi sur nar muni isha Aage Ram anuj puni pache Aage Ram anuj puni pache Munivar vesh bane ati aache Munivar vesh bane ati aache Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Muni Pada Kamala Nai Karashisha, bowing his head at the lotus feet, the pad of the sage, Sri Ram proceeded to the woods. So you see how this bhakti for individuals, it's not just one is giving, but it's a giving and receiving. The story continues. Chale vanahi suranara muni isha. Sri Ram proceeded to the woods afterward. Kept moving. Aage Rama Anuja Puni Pache. Sri Ram walked in front while his Anuj, his younger brother, Lakshman, followed him. Muni Vara Vesha Bane Ati Ache. And both appeared lovely in their garb of hermits. So as they keep following, as they keep walking, traveling, sages are also following them. But what happens here? Puni Raghunath chale van aage. Puni Raghunath chale van aage. Munivar vrindave pul sang lage. Munivar vrindave pul sang lage. Asti samoha dekhe Raghuraya o Rama. Asti samoha dekhe Raghuraya o Rama. Pucha muni na lage ati daya. Pucha muni na lage ati daya. Pucha muni na lage ati daya. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram Siya Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram Siya Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram Siya Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram Siya Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram Siya Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Ram Siya Ram Jai Ram. Puni Raghunath chale vana aage. In this one forest, vana aage, Sri Ram went further. Muni vara vrinda vipula sangalage. And many sages followed him. But what did they see? They saw asthi. They saw ashes or a heap of bones. Dekhi Raghuraya. This is what Sri Ram saw. Pucha munina. And he asked, Pucha. He asked the hermits about this sight. And what do they say? Janat hu puchahu kas swami. Janat hu puchahu kas swami. Samadarshi ur antaryami. Samadarshi ur antaryami. Nisi charan kar sakal muni khai. Nisi charan kar sakal muni khai. Suni Raghubir nayan jal chai. Suni Raghubir nayan jal chai. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Rama. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. And so the sages says, Janatahu puchahu kasaswamis. They say, oh Lord, you know, but you still ask. You know, you're so wise, but you're still asking. Samadarashi ura antaryami. You are impartial and know what exists in the hearts of everyone. But then they tell him, they're praising him, but then they tell him, Nisichara, Rakshasas, Nikara Sakala Muni Kai. Kai means they devoured, they literally ate the sages. Suni Raghubira Nayana Jalachai. And hearing this, Sri Ram, his eyes, his Nayana, filled with tears out of compassion. Now, what did Sri Ram do? Is my question. What do we think that Sri Ram did next? Did he say, well, you know, these Rakshasas, they're doing violent acts to our sages, so let's collect all of them and we'll sit down and have a chat, and maybe we should come to some understanding of what's going on. Since I was assigned this, I was really back and forth the whole time about how deep I should go into explaining what happens here. But I said if I don't, that is an extreme adharma I will be doing. And it would be a disrespect to the seat if I don't explain what is happening here. So is that what Sri Ram did? Did he collect all and say, let's have a talk, let's come to some understanding? No. He took a vow right then and there. He said, I will kill every single one of these Rakshasas who has done this. And this is what Kshatriya Dharma is. It is not just the compassion and the caring for everyone, but when someone attacks Dharma, when they're literally killing and resolute on destroying the yajnas of people, they need to be dealt with something equal to what they have done. Pandit Chunilalji said, this young lion is gonna roar tonight, right? I'm still a cub, I think, but I think this roar needs to be roared, and I'll tell you why. This is also mentioned in the Vedas. Atha Yajurvedaha Om Yatra Brahma Cha Kshatram Cha Samyan Chaucharata Saha Tam Lokam Punyam Prache Shan Yatra Deva Sahagnina. In the Yajurveda, it says Yatra Brahmancha Kshatramcha. That place with the Brahmin, the Brahma, Cha and Kshatram, the Kshatriya, where the powers of knowledge and defense work unitedly, and where scholars and commanders of forces, where there are scholars and commander of forces, that lokam, that country, that world becomes sahagnina, becomes glorious like Agni Dev. And this is important to know because we've kind of come to this time when we are all about ahimsa. Ahimsa is important, don't get me wrong. But there is a limit to ahimsa. And actually, extreme ahimsa leads to more hinsa, leads to more violence. And I'll explain why. The Veds also say that bhakti and shakti, all of our shastras, bhakti and shakti, they work together. In the right hand of Sri Ram, he's giving ashirvad. But in his left hand, what is it? What is there? The dhanush. And in Artha Shastra as well, it says Shastra and Shastra work together, hand in hand. Shastra meaning weapon, Shastra meaning our books. Also in Manusmriti it says Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshataha. Those who destroy Dharma, Dharma will destroy them. What happened to the Rakshasas? Sri Ram came. And dharmo rakshati rakshita, those who protect dharma, dharma protects them. Like Prahalad, even though his father was a demon, he was still saved because of his devotion to dharma. And these are important things to know. I know that we don't like to think and talk about, this kind of, I want to say harsher side, but this more fair side and this fierce side that comes out of Sri Ram and our other devtas. But it is there for a reason. We need to know these things. We need to teach our children these things and talk about these things so that our children also learn why these things are. If we don't want to talk about why Sri Ram killed 14,000 Rakshasas at one time, in one battle he killed 14,000 of them, and we don't explain the context and say this is what he had to do as a king, as a praja of his country, to prevent even more of those things from happening, then they'll say, wait, who are we worshiping? And someone will come with another book and say, your Bhagwan is a murderer. He kills so many people, why is it? And they'll have no answer. These explanations, these uncomfortable kind of conversations, we need to talk about these things. But this is not, and it's not a bad thing that Sri Ram did this. It's a good thing. Think about it. If someone breaks into your home, you should forgive them, but you also have a responsibility to report them and prevent them from that happening again. Why? Because if you know someone will do something like that and they do it again, that karma is on you because you knew you could have done something about it and you didn't. Also in Manusmriti it says that a Raja who doesn't punish a criminal in that right way, in the correct way, that Raja also gets the bad karma pal of that criminal because it's his dharma to see that that's compensated for. Another reason why we need to keep these things in mind, make sure that we know that our dharma supports raksha, supports protection, is because if we think Rakshasas only existed in the time of Sri Ram and Sri Krishna, we're very much wrong. And here's why. How many of us follow Indian politics, Indian political news? Raise your hand. We should. As Indians, as people who follow Sanatan Dharma, it is important to know about what is going on in the land we came from, in the land where the Vedas were bestowed upon the rishis, where Sri Ram and Sri Krishna, where their kingdoms were. And this is something I'm not going to tell you that happened in those times, in some different yuga. This happened just last year. There was a conference in South India, and it was called the Conclave to Eradicate Sanatan Dharma, literally. And in that conference, there was a Minister of Parliament, Udayniti Stalin. He said Sanatan Dharma is like dengue and measles, and it's something that needs to be eradicated. And when asked for clarification, he told the reporter, yes, I'm standing by my word. He said the root of everything evil comes from Sanatan Dharma, like caste, oppression of women. This is what he's saying. How is that any different from a Rakshasa who was intent on destroying Sanatan Dharma from Sri Ram's time? There are differences between people who are seeking knowledge and people who have already made up their mind to destroy a certain thought process. If someone comes and asks, what is caste about? It seems a little unfair. Why do you all do kanyadan in your wedding? This seems a little, like objectifying women a little bit. Or any other issue. I have no problem trying to explain to those people what is going on. Even our children, we should have no problem explaining to them what these things really are. Because Sanatan Dharma is about seeking vidya, seeking knowledge. So that's no problem. But when someone says, all you people do is worship stones, and all you do is rely on caste and you just oppress people, those people have a very different intention. And we need to use our vivek, use our buddhi, to protect ourselves from these things, from these ideas. And they're very present. Like I said, this happened September 2nd, 2023. This wasn't in some different yuga. So we need to be aware of these things. And like I said, justice and forgiveness are two very different things. You can forgive someone for saying things like that, understand it, but know that for every action needs to be compensated. And I'm not saying to go and kill someone like Sri Ram. That is not our dharma, because he was a Raja, he was a Kshatriya. I am a Brahmin, a priest. I can't do that. But how do we prevent these things from happening? You prevent these people from talking. There are places in the law that called hate speech. When people do things, you don't say forgive them and oh, we don't want to trouble them, their life is going to be ruined. You can charge them. You can bring them to justice so it doesn't happen again and again. Because if it happens to you and it's not, again, paid for, it can happen to someone else. So, this is why Sri Ram took that vow to destroy all the Rakshasas. And I just wanted to explain that because I think it was very important, especially for our younger ones, again, to know why these things happened. And again, like I said, the Adibhautik lesson. What can we do with this knowledge today? What can we do with these teachings today? But our katha continues. So this is what Sri Ram and Lakshman did for 11 years. They protected the yajna, just like how they protected it with Vishwamitra. They protected the yajnas of the rishis in the forest. But now, someone else comes into this katha, Shurpanakha. And who was she? Shurpanakha Ravan ke behni, Shurpanakha Ravan ke behni, Dushta hridaya da Runijmi ahni, Dushta hridaya da Runijmi ahni, Panchavati so gai ek vara, Panchavati so gai ek vara, dekhi vikhal bhai yugal kumara, dekhi vikhal bhai yugal kumara. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. Surpanakha Ravana kai bahini. Surpanakha was the behin, the sister of Ravan. Dushta hridaya daruni jimi ahini. And she was malicious at heart and dreadful like a serpent. Panchavati so gai ikvara. She went to Panchavati, where Sri Ram and Lakshman and Mata Sita were. Dekhi vikala bai yugala kumara. And seeing these kumaras, these young men, she was smitten with the pangs of passion. So, what happens here? Shurpanakha approaches them and says that I want to marry Sri Ram. But they have a little bit of fun with her because Sri Ram is married and very much in love with Mata Sita, as we know. And he says, no, marry my brother, Lakshman. And Lakshman says, no, how can I do that? You know, Sri Ram, he is so much better than me. And the reason that they do this is because Shurpanakha is actually very much older than Ram and Lakshman. So it's kind of inappropriate that she is asking for this, right? So, but in this fun, she gets agitated and she jumps at Mata Sita to attack her, to eat her. And Sri Ram says, no, this is enough. Like I said, that firmness at some points. He said, no, this is enough. You've gone too far. So he commands Lakshman to cut her nose and ears off. And what does she do? So she goes back now to complain to Ravan, right? Her brother, the king of Lanka. And what does she say about what happened? Avadha nripati dasrath ke jaaye, Avadha nripati dasrath ke jaaye, Purush sinha van kelan aaye, Purush sinha van kelan aaye, dekhat balak kaal samana, dekhat balak kaal samana, param dheer dhanvi gun nana, param dheer dhanvi gun nana, shobha dham ram asnama, shobha dham ram asnama, तिनके संग नारी एक श्यामा, तिनके संग नारी एक श्यामा, तिनके संग नारी एक श्यामा, जय राम श्री राम, जय जय रामा, जय राम श्री राम, जय जय रामा, श्री राम जय राम, जय जय रामा, श्री राम जय राम, जय जय रामा, जय राम श्री राम, जय राम श्री राम, जय राम श्री राम, जय जय रामा. She says, Avadha Nripati Dashratha ke jais. She says, these two sons of the Raja of Awadh, of Ayodhya, Dashrath, they have come. Purusha Sinha Vana Kelan Aya. And these are men like in the forms of, lions in the forms of men. Purusha Sinha. Sinha means a lion. And what are they doing? Vana Kelana Aya. They're hunting for Rakshasas in the forest. Dekhat balaka kala samana. And she says, when you see these men, when you see these young men, kala samana, they are most courageous, but they're also capable of great destruction. But what does she mean by this? Think about it. How would a criminal talk about a police officer? They say, oh, these police, they're only trouble in my business, this and that, right? So when she says that they're kala samana, she's speaking on that side, that they're coming to destroy wicked people like me. Dekata balaka kala samana, paramadhira dhanvi gunanana. And they are most courageous, skilled in archery, dhanvi, and these are their great qualities. Shobha Dhama Ram Asanana, the Shobha Dham, the elder brother, his name is Ram. Tinnake Sang Nari Ikashyama, and with them is a beautiful woman. So what happens here? Everyone says that or a lot of people think that all of the Leela of the Ramayana also happened with Shurpanakha, because, she was the one who told Ravan. But she just told Ravan that I was just in the forest and I saw these two young men, and for no reason they cut off my nose and ears. She left out the part where she attacked Mata Sita. So she lied. But that's not her fault. Who is the Raja and responsible for the protection of the people of Lanka? Was Ravan, not Surpanakha. So it was his responsibility to find out the truth. What is actually happening? So then he goes to kidnap Mata Sita out of misinformation. You're making a decision and you're ruling a kingdom out of misinformation. So the responsibility still falls on Ravan. So Ravan makes up his mind that, because his sister described Mata Sita as so beautiful, he'll take her. And that's what he does. But even when he was trying to formulate a plan, he goes to Marich. And Marich had fought Sri Ram and Lakshman in Balkand when they were protecting the Yajna of Vishwamitra. And in Valmiki Ramayana, when Ravan approaches Marich to tell him about his plan, he asks, who is this Sri Ram? And Marich, a Rakshasa, says, Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha. He says, Ram is the embodiment of Dharma. I have seen what he can do. Ravan, please don't do this. You don't know what you're getting into. Right? But Ravan, his mind is set on doing what he needs to do. So, he kidnaps Mata Sita and while distracting Sri Ram. So Sri Ram experiences great distress after he's been fooled and after his beloved has been taken away from him. But Lakshman is there to support him and gives him that comfort and says, no bhaiya, we can do this, we can find her. So they're on their way, trying to find out which direction to go. So they see Jatayu. Jatayu was the king of the bird clan, we would say. And he was also a friend of Dasharath. So he had tried to fight Ravan and interrupt his kidnapping of Mata Sita, but he failed because Jatayu was also a little bit older. So he was dying and Sri Ram and Lakshman came across Jatayu, and so they asked him, what happened? And Jatayu said it was Ravan who kidnapped Mata Sita. So they go looking for who is this Ravan. And this is where I come to my main message tonight. I'll finish up quickly because this is the main idea. Remember I said I was talking about bhakti. So we talked about the bhakti between people. We talked about the bhakti when showing force and protection of our dharma. And now we'll see a different kind of bhakti here. And who do they see on their way is Ma Shabri. So what happens when Ma Shabri sees them approaching? Pani jori aage baithari, प्रभु ही बिलो की प्रीति अति बारी, प्रभु ही बिलो की प्रीति अति बारी, केहि विधि स्तुति करहु तुम्हारी, केहि विधि स्तुति करहु तुम्हारी, अधम जाति में जड़मति भारी, अधम जाति में जड़मति भारी, अधम जाति में जड़मति भारी. Pani jodi aage baithari. When we have Pani Grahan in our weddings, Pani in this case means her hands. Pani jodi, and she joined her hands. She stood before Sri Ram. And as she gazed upon the Lord, her love grew more and more intense. And she says, Kehi vidhi astuti karahu tumhari. Kehi vidhi, what method can I use to extol you? Can I use to talk about you? Adhama jati mein jaramati bhari. And she says, I'm of a low clan and uneducated. But think about it, right? If you see someone so pious, so divine, you would have some humility in your heart. So it's not just about that she was of a low caste and didn't deserve it. It was showing also some humility, right? How can I say anything? How can I present you with anything? This is what she's saying. But what is Sri Ram's response? जाति पाति कुल धर्म बधाई, जाति पाति कुल धर्म बधाई, धन बल परिजन गुण चतुराई, धन बल परिजन गुण चतुराई, भक्तिहीन नर सोह
दीन नर सोहत कैसे, बिनु जलवारिद देखिय जैसे, बिनु जलवारिद देखिय जैसे। जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा, जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा, जय राम श्री राम, जय राम श्री राम, जय राम श्री राम जय जय रामा। He says jati pati kula dharma badai, despite caste, kinship, virtue, dana bala parijana guna chaturai, wealth, power, connection, accomplishment, and cleverness. Bhakti hina nara sohata kaise. He says a man devoid of bhakti and devotion, binu jalavari dekhiya jaise. Vari is a cloud. It's like a cloud without jal, without water, without rain. What an amazing answer, reply Shri Ram has given to Shabri Ma. And then Shri Ram explains now the 9 forms of devotion. Navada bhakti kahu tohi pahi, Navada bhakti kahu tohi pahi, Savadhan sunu dharu man mahi, Savadhan sunu dharu man mahi, Pratham bhakti santan kar sanga, Pratham bhakti santan kar sanga, Dusari rati mama katha prasanga, Dusari rati mama katha prasanga. Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Rama. Navada bhakti kaho toi pahi. He says, now I will explain to you Navada, 9 forms of devotion. He says, Savadhan sunu dharu mana mahi. And I will ask you all the same. Listen carefully and cherish these 9 qualities of devotion in your mind. But first, before we go into the first one, what is bhakti? Bhakti, we say, is worship. But in the Vachaspatyam dictionary, it says, Sevayam aradhanayam. It means in service and worship. What is the use of even service and worship to God? We worship these devtas because we want to imbibe their qualities in our character. This is what our yajnas are. They are mentioning Om Agnaye Swaha, Om Somaya Swaha, Om Prajapataye Swaha, Om Indraya Swaha. We are identifying each one of these devtas and saying, may their qualities be within us. That is the use of worship. So he says, Pratama Bhakti Santan Kara Sangha. He says the first step is association with saintly people, Santan. And now who are saintly people? They are people who are realized and who have some sort of knowledge. He says you must associate with these kinds of people. This is the first step, the first quality of bhakti. Dusari rati mama katha prasanga. And the second form of devotion is deep affection for listening to my discourse. And not just Ramayan, but also the discourse of the other devtas, Shri Krishna, Shri Ram, and others, other great souls. When we listen to these, again, we're not just listening just to sing Jai Ram, Shri Ram and feel good inside. But what is the lesson? What is the, again, like I said, adipautic value in these texts? You want to use these qualities because you want to be like them. You want to be as brave as Sri Ram, as knowledgeable as him, as wise as Guru Vashisht, right? So
these are the first two steps in bhakti. These are the two first forms of bhakti. Doha. Guru pad pankaj seva. Guru pad pankaj seva. Tisari bhakti aman. O Rama, tisari bhakti aman. Chauthi bhakti mam gun gana. Chauthi bhakti mam gun gana. Kare kapat tajigan. O Rama, kare kapat tajigan. O Rama, kare kapat tajigan. Siyavar Ramachandra ki jai. Guru Pada Pankaja Seva, Tisari Bhakti Aman. Tisari, the third, is service to the Guru's feet. Now, who is a Guru? We hear all the time that Guru is Gu and Ru, one who removes darkness. But there's also a second definition of Guru, seeing something that is bigger than you, something that is massive. But in this context, it means a person who is bigger than you, who has more knowledge than you. Serving them, again, you're asking, may their qualities be imbibed in me. And also, if you want to be successful, who do you look towards? You look to more knowledgeable people who are better, who are in a better place in the field you want to be in. So this is another form of bhakti, the third one. Chauti bhakti mama guna gana. And the fourth type fourth form of devotion is singing God's praises. Kare kapat taji gyan. Kapat taji means without shrewdness, with faith, with devotion. Again, you sing God's praises with a sincere heart. This is the fourth form of devotion. And actually, the fourth and fifth are connected, so we'll hear about the fifth as well. Mantra japa mama dridha vishvasa. Mantra japa mama dridha vishvasa. Pancham bhajan jo veda prakasha. Pancham bhajan jo veda prakasha. Shatadham shila virati bahu karma. Shatadham shila virati bahu karma. Shatadham shila virati bahu karma. Nirata nirantar sajan dharma. Nirata nirantar Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram. Jai Jai Rama. Mantra japa mama dridha vishvasa. Panchama bhajana joveda prakasha. Chanting mantras with firm faith is the fifth form of devotion revealed in the Vedas. Now, why are the Vedas important? They are the cornerstone, the foundation of our whole dharma. And this is why I kept referring to them. This is why I started with it, and I supported some claims in the middle of my pravachan with mantras from the Vedas. But why do we need firm faith in them? Why this specific pointing out of the mantra jap? When we come to Mandir on Sunday morning, when we may be tired of doing other things on Saturday, I understand that it's sometimes hard for us to have that energy. And then we say our mantras, Om Vishwani Deva Savita. But if we realize that the dharma we follow is the oldest continuing tradition in the history of the world, and we are blessed to realize it, be born in it, how can you not have that devotion on Sunday morning? And whatever happened, whatever tiredness there is, should melt away. And you chant, Om Vishwani Deva Savitar Duritani Parasuva Yad Bhadran Tanna Asuva. Again, imbibing the qualities of all those devtas mentioned in the Vedas. Like I said, I understand that it's hard. I also found it, or find it still sometimes hard to wake up Sunday morning. But when you get there, absorb yourself. Let that devotion, that bhakti, those mantras. Our tradition is one based off of hearing, of sound. Sound is what is divine to us. There have been many blind rishis, but the Vedas have been revealed to them from Shruti because they've heard that. Let that sound, let that vibration uplift you. Shatadama Shila Virati Bahu Karma Nirata Nirantana Sajjana Dharma. The sixth practice is the practice of self-control, Dhamma. You know, in the Lanka Kand, Dhamma Viveka Bala Parahita Gore. Sri Ram outlines the horses of a spiritual chariot. So Dhamma comes here again. It's that self-control. And virtue shown in one's actions that are in line with the code of conduct prescribed by saints. Again, we have many scriptures, many teachings. Law is something that is important to us. Nyaya Darshan, Manusmriti, Chanakya Niti, Vidur Niti, Artha Shastra. Order in society is important. And this is something that we should follow. And if we follow these things, they're divinely inspired. We are showing bhakti towards God. Second to last, Chaupai. Saptam sabha mohi maya jag dekhe. Saptam sabha mohi maya jag dekhe. Mote sant adik kar leke. Mote sant adik kar leke. Ashtama yatha labh santosha. Ashtama yatha labh santosha. Sapne ho nahi dekhi par dosha. Sapne ho nahi dekhi par dosha. Sapne ho nahi dekhi par dosha. Saptam, the seventh type of devotion, is one who sees the world full of God. One who sees God in everything. That is what realization is. That's what moksha is. Realizing that you have a connection with God and experiencing that connection. Without distinction and considering the saints very great. Mote santa adik kar leke, with a lot of devotion. Again, he mentions the saints. Asthama yatha labha santosha sapanehu nahi dekai paradosha. And he who remains content with whatever he gets and never thinks of others' faults, even in his dreams, cultivates the eighth form of devotion. Now, this is not contradicting what I said earlier. Sri Ram didn't think poorly and get stressed about what the Rakshasas were doing. He didn't let his heart become full of hate. It was just based on duty, what he had to do. But still, he was very forgiving, very compassionate to others, and to even them. It was just based off of duty. But for us, who are not Kshatriya and don't have to make such big decisions, we still should see our world full. We should never see the faults in anyone, even in our dreams. Don't let it consume you. Don't let it disturb you. You can be knowledgeable, listen, I know this person has these types of tendencies, but don't let that disturb your soul. It's not worth it. And then when you have these negative emotions, it pulls you away from the Lord. It pulls you away from being engrossed in devotion. When you're in mandir and you're supposed to be chanting mantras, you're going to be thinking, oh my God, I have to see this person after I come home from mandir, and you're thinking about all the problems. You know what? Tell me last night. This is why. You understand the reality of the situation, but you don't get attached to it. This is what the 8th form of devotion he's saying. And the last two chaupais, I'll do them together. Navam saral sab sanchal hina. Navam saral sab sanchal hina. Mama bharosa hiya harshan deena. Mama bharosa hiya harshan deena. Nava mahu jinke ek hoi. Nava mahu jinke ek hoi. Nari purush sachra char koi. Nari purush sachra char koi. Soi atishaya priya bhamini more. Soi atishaya priya bhamini more. Sakala prakar bhagati सकल प्रकार भक्ति दृढ़ थोरे सकल प्रकार भक्ति दृढ़ थोरे जोगी वृंदादुर जोगी वृंदादुर जोगी वृंदादुर लभ गति जोई तो कहो आज सुलभ है सोई तो कहो आज सुलभ है सोई जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम प्रेम से बोलो मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम श्री रामचंद्र की जय Navama Sarala Sapa Sanchalahina. He says the 9th form of devotion is one should be honest in the dealings with everyone and should cherish God in his heart without, again, any attachment, being too happy or being too sad. Whoever possesses even one of these 9 forms of devotion, man or woman, or any other creature, is most dear to me. He says to Shabrima, O great lady, you are blessed with steadfast devotion in all 9 forms. He says this state, which is difficult even for yogis to attain, is within your reach easily today. So we don't have to be Brahmin. We don't have to be, so smart or so rich to have these 9 forms of devotion. They are free. It is up to you to develop them. And again, like I said, it is all for your benefit. When you are devoted to something, you imbibe its qualities in you. You want the best for yourself so you can perform your dharma and at the end attain moksha like Mata Shabri. So this brings me to the end of my katha tonight, and I hope that this lesson of bhakti, I have contributed something important to your understanding of it, to your thinking of it. And even for myself, I'm not perfect. When I'm speaking up here, please don't think that, I know it all and I'm just preaching to all of you and telling you all what to do. These are some of the things I have to work on myself. But we work together. We, as a Sangatan, as a society, and move closer and closer to those ideals of Sri Ram and that Ram Rajya. I want to thank all of my chorus here, again, especially by Rajan and by Deepak, for assisting me. They sounded lovely. And I want to thank all of you for trusting in me to deliver such a esteemed pravachan tonight, and also the Pandits for assisting me and guiding me and believing in me, having that Vyaas. This is really almost like a dream come true. I know this is a strange dream for a 24-year-old today to do Ramayana in the park, but really, it is something that I've held near and dear to my heart, and I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Sitaram and Namaste. Hello, Sri Ramachandra ki Jai. Jai.
Jai. It's a long time to me, and I never get a chance to. When Niraj proposed this, I said, well, we got to push this and get the youth going, Pandit Ravi, Pandit Bharat, Pandit Deepak, Pandit Prakash is getting old, we got to get our young one to take over the mall, and I got to give them credit, So without further ado, I want to get attendance in all the Pandit who was here, Pandit Siram, Pandit Vidyanan, Pandit Kamta, Pandit Bharat, Pandit Deepak, Pandit Narottam, our Dharmacharya, Pandit Chunilal, and Dr. Pandit Ravi Ramsamooj. And now I give these three Pandits a minute to bring greetings on our Vyaas Maharaj. I give Pandit Narottam to bring greetings towards Ramayana in the park.
हरि ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षरभिर्यजत्रः स्थिरैर्यैः विषोम देवहितं यदायुः। परम पूज्य व्यास जी, आदरणीय धर्माचार्य जी, अन्यत्र पनुगण, ममता में मातृशक्ति समान के जो वर्ग है, आज तो सौभाग्य की बात है कि हम सब अपने काम धाम से विशेष वक्त निकाल करके ये परम श्रेष्ठ धाम में उपस्थित हुआ है भगवान के गुणगान श्रवण करने के लिए। इसलिए सर्वप्रथम वही भगवान जो अव्यय अखंड में जन्म होता है और निराकार साकार से पार भी होता है, प्रभु आप ही के परम पवित्र चरण में बार-बार से नमन करता हूँ, नमन करता हूँ, नमन करता हूँ। रेवर्ड व्यास जी, धर्माचार्य जी, पंडित चुनीलाल नारायण जी, all brother Pandits, mothers and fathers, devotees, all of the Ramayan being. It's indeed a great pleasure being here with you guys tonight, enjoying Ramayana in the park after a long time, because all Pandits are busy many times. But listening to our young stalwart tonight, it really propels and tells that our dharma future ahead have good pillars. And I want to commend our Vyasi for dispensing that very, very wonderful message of devotion and bhakti beneficially. I know you may know some part of it, but it's very, very important for the togetherness with all of us. Only then we can stand on the pillar of dharma. So I want to commend our Vyasi for doing a very wonderful and expatiating job on this beautiful night of Ramayana in the park. Also thank to the entire society for putting this together every year for Ramayana in the park. And I want to congratulate our Dharmacharya, who is a life wire of this and a very wonderful person, always stand firm for Ramayana in the park. Thank you very much. Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan bless you. Bolo Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan ki jai.
Now I got the greatest honor and ask our young Pandit, vibrant Pandit Bharat ji.
Indeed, a real pleasure for all our Pandits of the Arya Spiritual Center, all our entire membership who is here, and all our friends, all our well-wishers, to be sitting in this very august assembly here this evening to witness our son, 24-year-old Pandit Niraj, delivering so well. Please give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Niraj, we're very proud of you. We've watched you grow in the mandir and how you've developed, and never imagine. I mean, you know, one day, like your Chacha Pandit Ravi, you'll be sitting on this stage, fostering the teachings of Ramcharitamanas, and more importantly, as Pandit Narottam just said, we can all rest. We can all have some kind of peace of mind as we go forward, the older Pandits, that yes, this dharma, this propagation of the teachings of Sri Ram, the Ramcharitamanas, the Ramayana, lies in good hand in young Pandits like Pandit Niraj and other younger Pandits who will read time after time on this very platform. And so again, Ramayana in the Park Committee, by Harman, by Narod, all of you who make every effort to put this together year after year, we commend you and we thank you so much for involving all the different mandirs, and more so, giving our younger Pandits a scope to rise and step up to the call of the day and the needs of the future. Again, and just one quick, we have Ramayana Park now, but starting 29th, 30th, 31st of August and September 1st, 4 sessions. We have Veda in the Park, Thursday to Saturday night, we start at 7, and Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And so we invite all of you to join with us, Veda in the Park, coming up very soon. Again, thank you all so much. By our own team, by Herman, thank you all very much for this wonderful job you all are doing.
Thank you, Pandit Baran. And now I got the greatest honor to introduce Pandit Deepak. You know, Pandit Deepak is got a class every Thursday, the Satyar Prakash. Anyone you can access for the login, you know, we can send you it, and you can know all about our scripture. And he's the one who enlightened us, and furthermore, put you onto Pandit Deepak.
Thank you, Bhainaro. And Dharmacharya-ji, all our Reverend Pandits, members of the Ramayana in the Park Committee. Dan Paul mentioned that this Ramayana in the Park is closely associated with Pandit Ramlalji. And Pandit Ramlalji would be very proud, wherever he is, to see that a progeny of Arya Spiritual Center, the progeny of Arya Spiritual Center, Pandit Niraj ji, has made it finally to the Singhasan. Give him a big round of applause. And Dharmacharya ji said that we're going to hear the lion roar. Now, Niraj ji said, I am only a cub, but the cub is roaring like a big lion. Give him another round of applause. So, congratulations again to Niraj ji, Pandit Niraj ji. He has a long way ahead. He will be one of the shining lights for our Sanatan Dharma community. And congratulations and thank you, our gratitude to the Ramayana in the Park Committee for taking up this great responsibility year after year to organize this and educate our Hindu community. Thank you all so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Pandit Deepak. Thank you, Pandit Deepak. A good word of inspiration. I want to invite each and every one of you, Pandit Bharat mentioned it briefly, August the 29th, you can come and hear more. Our young Pandit Niraj going to be reading at Veda in the Park. And you're going to see him more. But I'm going to give you the flyers out. I didn't bring any tonight, but it's at the Mandir. You'll be here tomorrow. On the 29th, you come here at 6:30, but we're going to have the flag raising first, and then we're going to proceed down and start the Hawan and then into the Pravachan. August the 29th at 6:30, then on the 30th is at 7, and then Sunday morning we conclude at 8 a.m. Without further ado, I introduce Dharmacharya Pandit Chunilal will give us summarize of Pandit Niraj of the whole pravachan, and he can summarize it and conclude.
I was looking at the Vyaas ji. I didn't miss a word. I was looking at the audience also. And I know you didn't miss a word either. What he said. He kept all of us very thrilled for this entire duration of the pravachan. At this point, I would like all of you to rise and give this Vyaas ji and entire group a standing ovation here tonight. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Well, so you know, few people get standing ovation at Ramayan Park. And this is the very first time I've listened to the Vyaas ji. In fact, the first time I'm meeting him. And I can tell you, the lion did roar tonight. Well, I'm going to briefly summarize what we've all heard tonight from our Vyaas ji. Our Vyaas ji commenced a discourse with Sri Ram's journey into the forest, accompanied by Mata Sita and brother Lakshman. They went to the ashram of Atri Muni, and Suya Ma gives Sita some very good advice on wifely duties, on Pativrata Dharma. It further went. Now, there are a couple points here, salient points that you must not miss, and this is what we're going to take home tonight with us. Number one, our Vyaas ji was very vocal and very passionate about that scene in the Ramayana where Sri Ram arrives as he's walking there and he sees a heap of bones. And then he asks the rishi there, to whom does these bones belong? And then they said, Lord, you are Antaryami, you are the knower of all, yet you're asking as if you were a mere mortal. These bones are the remains of your devotees. Now, what crime did the devotees commit? Their only crime was to worship the Lord, to profess and to practice Sanatan Dharma. In return, they were destroyed and devoured by the Rakshas, and these were the remains. And Sri Ram, as our Vyaas ji very beautifully puts it, he was, as much as he was so compassionate, he didn't say, well, you know, look, we must solve this any other way. He rose up, he took his bow in his hand, and he says, I'm going on a mission to destroy, to annihilate all of these who are opposed to my devotees and who are opposed to Dharma. And hence Sri Ram went on this mission to destroy all of these people. Now, again, as our Vyaas ji said, Sanatan Dharma does not advocate violence in the sense that if somebody were to attack Sanatan Dharma, then you must take a gun and go and shoot them. This is not what we are propagating here, what we are teaching or preaching here tonight at Ramayan in the park. But that's a little story. This illustrates the point. One day, Narad was walking. And as he was going on his way to the abode of Lord Vishnu, there was a cobra hiding in the grass. And the cobra said, Narad, where are you going? So Narad said, I'm going to Vaikunt, to Vishnu Lok, to meet Lord Vishnu. He says, could you please ask Lord Vishnu when I'm going to attain salvation? He said, I can answer you the question. He said, well, tell me what must I do? He said, you got to stop biting people. And then you're gonna get moksha. So the cobra said, okay, thank you, Narad, I will do that. So Narad went his way. Now this cobra stopped biting people. So what happened now? He's there, all these cowherd boys and so on there, they see the cobra there, and this cobra not doing anything. He's so quiet, so silent. So they took a stick and they started to beat the snake. And the poor snake now, listening, remembering Narad's words, he didn't fight back, he didn't retaliate. And so he was so battered, almost dying. Narad is on his way back. Narad said, what happened? Look at your poor condition. He said, you told me not to bite. I never bit anybody now. Look what happened. I'm dying. He said, I told you not to bite. I never told you not to hiss. I never told you not to raise your head and hiss at them. That would be enough to scare them away. My dear brothers and sisters, we all have to hiss as well when it comes to stand our ground and protect Sri Sanatan Vedic Dharma. All of us as Hindus, we have the royal blood of the rishis flowing in our veins. We belong to the most ancient tradition and civilization on the face of this earth. What we have is unlike any other. And we must be proud of who we are and what we are. We are born into Hindu homes, into this Hindu tradition for a reason. And the reason is to perpetuate these timeless values of Sanatan Dharma. Our Vyaas very eloquently reminds all of us that each of us has a duty. Recently in Bangladesh, you've seen when the ousted Prime Minister left, there was an attack against the Hindus where mandirs were being destroyed. An attack on Hinduism on the 8% of Hindus that live on the 170 million the population of Bangladesh. Now that is pathetic and that is very sad. That is a repeat of many incidents that happened in the past, more than 500 years ago, with the invasion of the Mughals in India. We've seen a blatant attempt to exterminate Sanatan Dharma from the face of this earth. The time has come for us. We're living in an age where we can't be too docile and complacent anymore. We have to stand our ground and we have to defend Sanatan Dharma. We have to pass this on to the next generation because they're the ones who's going to keep the flag of Sanatan Dharma flying. Generations like our Vyaas. He's 24 years young and he's done remarkably well tonight. He is a shining example of what the future holds for Sanatan Dharma. Give him another round of applause. And then Vyaas took us further into the forest, and that scene with Supanaka. There we see the fidelity of Sri Ram. And these are the building blocks of a solid marriage and in this world today. The lessons that we learn from all of this. And we've seen also Ravan's resolve to abduct Mata Sita and take her to Lanka. And Vyaas took us further into the forest again, and his concluding scene of the Ramayana where he meets with Shabari. And that is such a very beautiful scene that is based on devotion that again our Vyaas eloquently described for us. Shabari was very apologetic about her status. She says, Adhamate Adham Adhamati Nari. Amongst the lowest, I'm yet the lowest. She was conscious about her status as number one, a woman, she says a Nari. And two, she was dull-witted. And three, she was a Bhil woman, belonged to the Bhil tribe. So pretty much an outcast, someone who was marginalized by society. All of these limitations, she confesses to Sri Ram. And what did Sri Ram say in return? Sri Ram says, she said, look, I'm not even fit to be in your presence. Now that is devotion, the humility that our Vyaas speaks of. And Sri Ram describes her, he says, oh most beautiful lady. He calls her most beautiful lady. Kaha Raghupati sunubhamini bata manav ek bhakti karadata, says Sri Ram in this scene. Bhamini, Shabari, you are not this Bhil woman. You are not this dull-witted woman. You are not this outcast. You are a Bhamini. You are the most beautiful lady. Because he was looking at the beauty of her heart. And then he says, well, you were saying, but you have all of these faults and limitations. Well, let me tell you, Sri Ram says, Jati pati kul dharma badai, dhan bal parijan gur chaturai, bhakti hina nar sohat kaisa, bin jal bard dekhiye jaisa, as our Vyaas just recited to us. That one's caste, one's status, one's accomplishments, one's family, one's lineage, all of these are insignificant to me, says Sri Ram, if the devotee in question is devoid of devotion. And he makes the comparison of a waterless cloud, which means the cloud has a form, it has a shape, it has a color, a complexion, but it has no content, devoid of character. So are we, if that element of devotion is missing in our lives. So here what we see in today's society, what we use, the yardstick that we use to judge people or to measure people is based on one's wealth, on one's power, on one's position, on one's caste, and all of this. All of this, none of this matters in the eyes of Sri Ram. The Lord says all that matters to him is the purity of the heart of his devotee. So you don't have to be the most educated person. You don't have to be a wealthy person. You don't have to be a famous person. Each of us becomes eligible to attain the grace and the blessing of the Lord if you have that one simple ingredient, that one characteristic, that one requirement that the Lord looks for in the heart of his devotees, which is true love and devotion. And bhakti is that spontaneous feeling of attachment which is based on unconditional love for the Lord. And Vyaas ended his sermon with these 9 forms of devotion. Pratama bhakti santan karasanga, dusari ratimam katha prasanga, guru parapangaj seva, tisari bhakti aman, chauthi bhakti mama gunagan, karaika patata jigan. And all of these 9 forms are Vyaas just recited to us. 9 forms of devotion. So, to round it all up, Vyaas, you have really impressed me tonight. And I'm sure I speak for the rest of the audience as well. You did an extremely great job. Stay humble, stay on track. You're on the right track. You've come from a great lineage of very noble Pandits, like your uncle here, your Chacha, Pandit Ravidin, Ramsamooj. And he, of course, well, he is a legend, as you know. And the rest of this entire family. So you can't go wrong having such a mentor like him. I would like you to put your hands together for this group on stage here tonight. They have done remarkably well. Yeah. And that introduction, it was excellent, beautiful. And you know, when Panditji was telling me that all these ragas they composed by themselves without any help from him. Now that shows their ingenuity and their creativity they have in this field of music. And we are very, very proud of you. Very proud of you. Keep shining. You all are the true custodians and the ambassadors of Sanatan Dharma in tomorrow's world. And we do look forward to more of this. But we still miss you. We still miss you, Pandit Ravidinji. And we miss Abbey Road as well. Yeah. So, my dear brothers and sisters, I'm pretty sure all of you are feeling very good tonight. You've come to Ramayan in the park and you've attended a beautiful session. You've listened to the young Vyaas and love the message you're taking back with you. I would like to thank, finally, this committee here. These are simple, unassuming, hard-working, honest people who year after year promote Ramayan in the park. Now, it's not easy to put up all this tent and all these decorations and everything else here for an entire week, or 8 days, or 9 days. It requires a lot. None of these gentlemen here is a Pandit. No one in the committee. But they have the interest of Sanatan Dharma at heart. And this is their passion. This is their dream come true. So, we'd like to acknowledge here, and I want you, after I recite these names, you must give them a nice round of applause. So here we have our Bhaji Donji, Bhai Harban Singh, Bhai Naro Bali, Bhai Somdat Chandradat, our Bahin Ina Prasad, Bal Singh, Suraj Pal Singh, Kim Shankar, Sharas Rutharai, Dr. Dhanpal Narayan. Give all of these people a nice round of applause. They've done tremendous work putting all this together. But of course, it cannot be successful without your contribution. So we have to beg. Year after year, that's what we keep doing, we have to beg. And we just rely on your generosity and your kindness, so that with your contribution, we can pull off this Ramayana in the park every year. I would like to thank also the Arya Spiritual Center. Naro Bali is here and the entire team, the entire management. Please give them a nice round of applause. Because of them, we can host Ramayana in the park on this sacred ground, fulfilling the dreams of our late Dharmacharya, Pandit Ramlalji. So that is wonderful. Now, in conclusion, tomorrow night, we have another young lion who's going to be roaring here again. And this time, he comes from the Sri Trimurti Bhavan. And he also has, like our Vyaas ji, he has his ties to the beautiful country of Trinidad and Tobago. And he is Pandit Nibal Ramdas. Now, I want to promise you, he's my Shishya also. I want to promise you, he will, like our Vyaas ji, he will certainly mesmerize you tomorrow evening as he takes Kishkinda Kand on the pulpit. So please be here tomorrow. You don't want to miss this pravachan from Pandit Nibal. He has a very beautiful message, especially for the young people. I think he's like 20 years young, a little younger than Vyaas ji. And he will be officiating tomorrow night from Kishkinda Kand. So we do thank all of you very much for your presence here tonight. And may Bhagwan Sri Ram blessings be with you. Do have a safe rest of the evening. And please join us again tomorrow evening for another session of Ramayana in the Park. Prem Sora Shri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai.
By now, just 1 second, if I may. Just 2 sentences. This year for Ramayana in the Park is a very historic year. This is the first year while we are doing Ramayana in the Park, there is a Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Our Ram Lalan is no longer on a tent in the side of the road in Ayodhya. He's in a palace where he belongs, and that is because of our bhakti and our shakti. Prem se bolo, Maryada Purushottam Shri Ramachandra ki.
Now I got the greatest honor to introduce our director, Harman Singh, and he got a few announcements.
Muni jana jana san baby.